The time had come to talk to my kids about sex. And like most parents, I dreaded it, but probably not for the same reasons. I dreaded having the conversation with my kids because I was afraid that I would instill in them my hatred for it, and I didn't want to poison their minds like that. So I sought out the best method to help me talk to my kids about it. Focus on the Family, a ministry that I had a lot of respect for at the time, recommended a book by Clifford and Joyce Penner called The Gift of Sex. The day I received it, it was perfect that my husband was out with the kids all day. So I got my book, I went in, I got on my bed, and I got in my comfy reading position. But before I started reading, I just stopped and I just invited God into that situation. And I just prayed, God, show me what I need to know. Teach me so that I can have the conversation with my kids in a way that you would want me to have it. And I started reading. I didn't even make it through the introduction of the book before I read something that just hit me the wrong way, and it made me so angry it felt like my blood would boil. I took that book and I threw it up against the wall as hard as I could. So hard, in fact, that the pictures that are hanging on the wall fell to the floor. And I got out pen and paper. I was going to write Focus on the Family a letter and let them know just how appalled I was that they would recommend this book. So I found myself writing, and I was using words like shameful and disgusting. But after a little bit, tears started falling. I just wiped them off, and I continued writing my words of anger, but more and more tears were falling. Why was I crying? I wasn't sad, I was angry. Within minutes of starting that letter, I found myself laying face down on my floor, crying in complete agony. It was as if God was literally pulling out all of the roots of the lies that I had believed about myself, the ones that had just kind of permeated my entire being. It felt like I had laid there for hours, but in reality, it was only about 45 minutes. When I stood up, I realized that I wasn't crying, and there was no longer any pain associated with the sexual abuse that I suffered as an innocent 6-year-old. Without knowing what I was doing, I had given God permission to enter into all of the areas that I said were closed off. I allowed God to touch the places that I said were untouchable. And through that, I gained my healing. And this is what I've learned. Sometimes the healing process hurts. But we have to trust God enough to allow Him to work that process through us. Sometimes surgery, it hurts, but it's necessary for healing. If you have some of those places in your life that you have hidden and closed off from God, I challenge you to give Him permission to touch them, to remove them, and to fix them. Because when we believe lies about ourselves, it distorts the truth of the things that are truthful. That book really wasn't a bad book, as I had read it later. But the lies that I had been carrying around in my perspective caused me to see things that weren't there. So choose today to give God permission to enter into all of the areas of your life that you have had closed off and shut off from Him.